line right now is a former 8-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion, 2-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, 4-time TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and of course a WWE Hall of Famer class of 2016. You may know him as the Icon or the Franchise. He is the man called Sting. Sting, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. That was a great intro. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I could keep going and going with you. You've had such a great and storied career. But the real reason kind of we're talking today is because of a big launch that's going to be happening over this week. It's all about Be Good, and it was a huge project that you were a part of that Rick Bassman had put together, and just a massive show with so many superstars. So can you just tell us a little bit about Be Good and what your experience was like being on that show with all those other massive stars?
Well, it's a humbling experience, of course. I mean, with all these incredible athletes and celebrities and, even Rick, we go way back from the very beginning. Bassman, I had never even got into pro wrestling. So kudos to Rick for that. And man, great to kind of, in a way, come full circle with him and to be doing stuff like this, and it was an honor, of course, and again, humbled to be on with guys like Rusty Coons. I mean, Butterbean, he's cleaned a few clocks for sure. One of the guys that really impressed me so much, the Angel of Skid Row, Darren Joseph, man, and then Darren McBee. I mean, I had a little bit of contact with him years ago, and always knew who he was, but we kind of reconnected here through the Be Good deal. And man, what a great guy he is. I'm looking forward to developing even more of a friendship with him. Mike O'Hearn, a freak. My sons love this guy. I mean, anyone that can reverse grip, bench press, flat bench press, 405 pounds for reps is a freak. And I ran with the freaks, but I mean, he's got them all top. So, I mean, Boss Rutan, Benny the Jet, so many of them. I mean, it was just great to be on with guys like that and a variety of people. So it was a good deal. And what is Be Good? What is it to me? I mean, man, I said it before. I'll say it again. It's so simple and it's so cliche, but honestly, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. And if everyone lived by that standard, the world would be a much better place. And, like the old saying goes, the only way for evil to prevail is for good men and do nothing. So it's time for, men especially to, get off their hands, stop sitting on your hands. And I'm including myself. So if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. I've used that line so many times over the years, but it is so true. Be good if we are other oriented instead of self oriented always, the opposite of what our culture teaches and preaches and what our culture is breeding, which, puts me, myself, and I first. Be good is the opposite of that. And, instead of looking the other way, let's look right into it and then deal with it. Be good as parents, pouring into their kids, especially dads, especially fathers. That's what Be Good is all about, man, to me.
That was such a great, awesome experience, and you named so many great guys like Deon Joseph, Darren McBee, Butterbean, Rusty Coons, Mike O'Hearn, Benny the Jet, Boss Rutan, Lou Ferrigno, makes a little cameo on there. I mean, there's so many great guys, but you yourself, and the reason kind of you were asked to be a part of it was because of such a huge star that you are and the magnitude of you and your career. So when you kind of think back and just look back at not only Steve Borden, the person, but Sting, the wrestler, Sting, the guy that was a superhero to so many, a guy that was a hero to so many, what is kind of the lasting legacy or the stamp that Sting kind of leaves behind, maybe both as a man and even as a pro wrestler, because you were such a huge star in the business?
Man, I'm hoping that people would remember, things like, my work ethic and just, being dependable. I didn't pull no shows. I didn't milk the injuries, and I had the longevity. But, when I was in the ring, I tried to bring it every night. I tried to be as entertaining as I possibly could, and involve the crowd to participate in the match. because, man, it's entertainment. So I'm hoping fans will just remember the work ethic and that from my gear to trying to be in shape and trying to be believable and trying to, always be better, always be, innovative and creative and change and evolve, to step out of your comfort zone. I'm hoping that they'll remember that things like that about me. Outside of the ring, it's almost like whether you're looking outside the ring and the wrestling part of it, or you're dealing with the wrestling ring and wrestling, there's a common thread. It seems, and it wasn't planned. It's just as I look back and reflect, this is just kind of the way it seems. But the common thread would be, to sum it all up, is just that there's something beyond wrestling. There's something beyond WrestleMania. There's something beyond, the biggest match and the biggest payoffs and the biggest reaction from the crowd and the biggest amount of notoriety and being in the limelight. And for me, it is something supernatural. So it is God. It is Jesus Christ in me. And anything good that ever came out of me is because of Christ in me. And this is only over the last 20 years, but before that, I was me, myself, and I was self-oriented all the way and going for everything that our world calls success, and then attaining it, and only to find out that I was lost and needed some help, and major help. And so when I surrendered to Jesus Christ, that's when things changed for me in August of 1998. So that common thread would be, that no matter what my character was, whether I was coming out of a babyface dressing room or a heel dressing room, or, there was always a certain sort of something about my character, I think. And wrestling fans have shared this with me thousands of times, that there was just something about, my demeanor that just said, you helped me stand up, for myself. You helped me to realize what bullying was all about. You helped me to, the only relationship that I had with my dad was watching you. And so I think about all these things, and it was just the Christ in me and that common thread that there's something beyond wrestling. I hope this is all making sense.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
This is just kind of the way, I see it. It didn't matter what dressing room I came out of. There was always something about the character Sting that just says there's something beyond wrestling. And so I would hope that people would remember me as, all the work ethic stuff, but also the Christ in me, the follower of Jesus, if you will.
Well, I know me myself, I'm just a huge Sting fan. I'm at my home office looking at a bunch of Sting autographs, Sting figures. So you're definitely a larger-than-life superhero, both kind of in and out of the ring. And what you say on Be Good, there's so much good stuff that you kind of put out there, where you started working $25 a night, $50 a night, to where you kind of ended up, and how you weren't happy and found God. So there's so much great stuff on there, whether it was, you as the Surfer Sting or doing the Crow gimmick and fighting off the NWO, or whether you're wrestling Rick Rude and Ric Flair and Cactus Jack. I mean, there's just so many points in your career. But I just want to ask you, because my favorite feud personally was against Big Van Vader. So just would love to know from kind of a personal perspective, do you have a favorite match with Vader? Because you guys had so many classics. That's just something that I just always thought of, because out of all the awesome feuds you had and all the great matches, I always think of you versus Vader, just the perfect chemistry and the perfect symmetry.
It's amazing. I don't have one match with Leon, with Vader. I have, images, pictures, moments of matches in and out of the ring with him. It's amazing how many. It's as though there are as many with him, not quite, but I mean, as somebody like Ric Flair. But, Leon, he was straight out of Japan when he first came to the United States and did the American style wrestling, and I was definitely solely responsible for taming him. He was, in Japan, it is extremely stiff, very believable, extremely stiff over there in America. Here in America, it's not nearly as stiff. And thankfully, I was always one of those kind of wrestlers that I would rather have it stiff. I wanted things to be always so believable that people wouldn't have any doubt in their minds, that somebody like Vader was trying to literally kill me. And it's funny because I do have fans that will approach me even now and say, man, I remember one night, name the city, name the town, and we sat there and really believed that Vader was trying to kill you. But I tamed him. I'll never forget being in Gainesville, Georgia. This is another picture, Gainesville, Georgia, doing a TV taping for WCW. And this is like one of the first few matches that I had with him. Maybe it was the very first one. It was on TV. And, very small civic center, and we're filming this TV thing, and there's the dressing room area is really, really bad. There's not great dressing rooms there. So, a lot of the guys are literally underneath the bleachers where the people are sitting, getting dressed and all, and talking over matches and everything. And I'm there with Harley Race, who's managing Leon, and we're just moments away from getting in the ring. And Harley's got his cigarette, and he's smoking that thing just casually. And all of a sudden I hear this person, somebody, violently ill, on the other side of the bleachers or in the Civic Center. And I said, what is that? Who is that like a dying, animal or something? What is going? He said, that's Leon. I go, what's the matter? He's sick. Sick from what? He's nervous, kid, because he's wrestling you tonight. Oh, no. So now I got a number one with somebody who's 350, 400 pounds, straight from Japan, but he's also sick and he's also nervous. I got everything going against me. It's my day to die in the pro wrestling world, and so I don't know. It was just like one of those nights I got in the ring with him, and then it was night after night, and he was. I mean, he would lift me off my feet just throwing his punches, and I'll never forget that. I'll never forget him doing a moonsault in the Omni, Atlanta, Georgia. We had done it every night. By then, we'd worked so many times, and he comes off at 350 pounds. And for whatever reason, we just hit a certain way, and we both kind of bounced up in the air. And on the way back down, I got kind of cockeyed, crooked, and that 350 pounds landed on me, and it kind of put my chin down into my sternum, and my eyeballs were almost looking right into my ribs. And I saw literally, one of my ribs, it was grotesque to me. It was almost like it was going to come out of the skin. So if you take your shirt under your finger, your index finger, just poke out, that's what it looked like.
Oh, boy.
And that's what I said, oh, boy. Oh, man. Broke my rib that night with him. And, Leon, my rib, it's broken. What do you want me to do? High-face the referee and have him disqualify. It was a world title match that night, and we were going somewhere. We couldn't drop the title that night. Otherwise, I would have just pinned me and beat me. But we were going somewhere else, and obviously I had the hopes that I would get well enough to go where we were going. But anyway, just memories like that with Leon, and man, he was a teddy bear, after all the matches. He was just so grateful always. And I was grateful to him too, because it was believable. I mean, fans really, honestly, truly did believe that he was trying to kill me. And they believed, I had so many of them say that they believed that there was no way I was going to be able to, beat this guy or overcome him. So I always loved the big man matches, and he was one of the big men, one of my favorite big men to work against. So great memories. Not to mention, I was able to spend the last 8 months of his life with him. He was in the Dallas area, and I live in the Dallas area now, and so I saw him, in and out of the hospital. I met him for dinner, for lunch, until he died. And, I think it would be kind of cool for people to know this, but, he wanted to know who Jesus Christ was, and I shared Jesus with him, and he ended up giving his life to Jesus Christ, and he did what we call getting born again. And so I know that I'll see him again, and he'll probably want to have a match when I get up there. But anyway, lots of good memories with Leon.
That is great. Didn't even realize you guys reconnected, towards the latter end of his life. That is really, really cool, and another kind of full circle moment for you. Very cool.
Absolutely, and his son Jesse was a big part of it too. I was able to go to his funeral and speak at his funeral as well, and just great matches, great relationship, especially toward the end there, and good stuff happened, before he died. So it's all good.
Yep, I remember vividly. Great American Bash 92, Starrcade 92. You guys had an awesome match on Power Hour. Super Brawl 3 might be my favorite match of all time, you and Vader, obviously in that awesome strap match. And then Slamboree 94. Those are just some matches off the top of my head that I can think of that you and Vader had that I just absolutely loved, and just thought that's one of my favorite feuds, if not the top feud. Maybe you versus the NWO, a little Batman Joker kind of thing, Sting versus the NWO as the Crow. But you, Vader, as far as one-on-one matches, no doubt.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It's one of my favorites too.
So also just want to throw out there, Be Good coming out this week. You could follow Rick Bassman and Talking Tough. You can go to Talking Tough Pod on Instagram and Talking Tough on Facebook for more details on the link and everything as far as Be Good. So just Sting, if you could, just one last push for Be Good.
Absolutely, man. I would encourage you to tune it in and then tear off a knob, as I've said so many times over the years. But, very interesting to hear perspectives of all these different celebrities and athletes and what they're trying to do to make a change, a shift in our culture and turn things around. And very impressive, and I was just grateful to be a part of it. And I think that literally, I think that there will be people's lives would probably be changed just listening to this.
I totally agree. I was luckily and able to be the content producer on it, and Rick, honored that Rick kind of chose me. So I was able to kind of do a lot of research on everybody and then obviously be invested in the program itself. So it is just an unbelievable show, and the message is just truly unbelievable. And just honored not only to have you on today, but honored to have you be a part of the Be Good family. So thank you for that.
It is my pleasure, I promise you. It's good to be part of the Be Good family.
And just want to also mention you could follow The Stinger on Twitter at Sting, and then, of course, on Instagram at Stinger, just to give you some pluggeroonies there for The Stinger. So, Sting, thank you so much for all the time. And everyone out there, look forward and look out for Be Good.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the two-man power trip of wrestling. What the world is downloading.
When a man's heart is full of deceit, it burns up, dies, and a dark shadow falls over his soul. From the ashes of a once great man has risen a curse, a wrong that must be righted. We look to the skies for a vindicator, someone to strike fear into the black hearts of the same man who created him. The battle between good and evil has begun. Against an army of shadows comes a dark warrior, the purveyor of good, with a voice of silence and a mission of justice. This